Some of you probably know what Twitch is. Some of you might not know what Twitch is, so I'll tell you real quick. Twitch is a app / website / all kinds of things where you can watch people do a lot of different shit. Used to be just watching people play video games, but now you can watch people do all kinds of things, including podcasting, including just hosting kind of show-like motherfucking things. It's a new world. It's a new stuff. I'm going to be trying to hook it all up with YouTube as well, but basically, we're going to video, motherfuckers. If you want to see my pretty face and talk to me, check me out on Twitch. Just go to twitch.tv/Will Noonan and follow me. Or you can download the Twitch app on your phone. Follow me there. It's a great time. You can chat right to my face, and I'll answer you. And people can watch. It's a really cool app. I think it's going the way. I think it's the future. It's free. And if you have Amazon Prime, you get a bunch of free shit with it. So check it out. Twitch.tv/Will Noonan. Follow me on there. Be talking about it in the episode. But man, Twitch is cool, and I'd love it if you came join me. If you came and joined me, if you come and join me, if you just orgasm and join a motherfucker on Twitch. So anyway, twitch.tv/Will Noonan. Hope to see you there. Here is the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Thank you for listening to Hypothetically with Will Noonan. That's me coming at you right now from a tunnel near the airport in Boston. I'm heading north, heading to a gig right now at Salisbury Beach, Blue Ocean Music Hall. It's gonna be a good time. And I'm hoping I'm not late. I'm cutting it fucking close. Not really my fault. I'm giving myself a shitload of time to get there, but traffic is bad. GPS is scaring me, so we'll see how this turns out. But I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm feeling like we're gonna make it there with time to spare. But that's one of the fucking shittier things about GPSs. Is like they just hop up and hop down with the ETA. You know, like it just jumped up. Like as I'm telling you that, it just jumped up like 5 fucking minutes. And I'm sure when I get out of this tunnel, it'll jump back down again, because when you're in the tunnel, it thinks you're not moving at all. Interesting stuff, Will. Great start to the podcast. Thanks so much for saying that. Anyway. Sorry, I think I took another week off. I think I'm doing every 2 weeks right now, which is not good. But like if you listened last week, I've been playing on Twitch a lot. I've been doing a lot of Twitch streaming, and I've done hours of streaming on there. So if you're missing me at all, subscribe on Twitch. I know a lot of you did after the last episode. Thank you, all you guys who did that. Janet McNamara, the wonderful Janet McNamara, who's a friend of mine, personal friend of mine, but also a listener of the podcast. She went above and beyond. She subscribed on Twitch, and she bought a t-shirt from willnoonan.com/t-shirts or prowrestlingtees.com/Will Noonan. You can get cool t-shirts, and she did both of those things. So a very special thanks to J-Mac. Janet McNamara is a very funny comedian in her own right. Fucking hilarious. But anyway, I've known Janet forever. She's awesome. But yeah, I'm driving in a rainstorm right now. I'm heading to this thing. And I've been a busy boy. Yeah, not only have I been streaming on the old Twitcheroo, but I've been moving into a new place, an apartment. South Boston, Massachusetts, with the good old Pat Barrett, who many of you long-term listeners know from the podcast, and he's a great dude, and we'll be roomies, Bert and Ernie style, pretty soon. And that's exciting. So all day today I painted, and the past couple weeks I've been fixing, fucking holes and shit. Oh boy. Just slammed the brakes a little bit. Been fixing holes in the walls and all kinds of kooky shit. And it's been interesting. It has been interesting. Sorry. I'm like wondering what the fuck this thing's trying to tell me to do right now. Waze is broken. I don't know if you guys are big Wazers. I love Waze. I use it all the time, and it's fucking not working right now, and it's bumming me out because I like to use Waze as my main source of navigation. Right now I'm using the good old iPhone, like GPS that it comes with, and it's freaking me out a little bit. Also, the pouring fucking rain is freaking me out. This makes everyone drive like an idiot. But yeah, so that news is sort of big, I guess, to some people who have been listening to the podcast a long time, that I've decided to actually stay in Boston as a home. For a while, I was flirting with the idea of moving back to New York, and I was flirting with even maybe going to LA for a little while. But I've decided to stay here in Boston. There's a lot of reasons why, and I guess I'll get into them right now. It seems some people think I'm an idiot probably for staying in Boston, but I don't know. I've made the decision to stay. I don't think I'm an idiot. I think I'm a pretty smart guy. But I'll tell you all my reasons. So, number one reason I'm staying in Boston is because I love it here. I love Boston. I love the weather as much as some people hate it. I love it. I love the winters. I love the summers. I love the fall. I love it all. I love the sports teams here in Boston. I love rooting for them. I love the comedy scene here. I love the people I know in it, you know? And I don't want to leave it. And I think when I was starting out in comedy, like my dream of the life of a comedian, what I wanted out of this whole job, luckily I pretty much have. You know, I just wanted to headline, make a living, make enough money to pay the bills. You know, I'm far from living like super comfortably or anything like that, but it's like for the first time in many, many, many fucking years, I can just chill and not stress so much about money all the time. And that's because of Boston, and it's because of this great scene that we have here, and the scene's done a lot for me, and I don't want to fucking leave it. And also, I feel like there's this thing, like everyone gets good at comedy and gets the fuck out of here. Everyone bails on Boston the second they get good. And I think that's not good for like the future of Boston. I know this sounds kind of silly, but like it's my hometown. I don't want comedy to fucking die out in this city when all the good guys, all the good headliners just get old and retire. And I want there to be some good fucking comedians left over in this city. And I know that sounds kind of like self-congratulatory or something, but it's just how I feel. Like I look up to guys like Tony V and Steve Sweeney and guys who have made and Jimmy Dunn, and he's left a couple times, but guys who have made like a fantastic fucking living here in Boston, have great lives, great families, are very happy, and they're good dudes to hang out with and happy guys. And I'll tell you, man, I've worked with a lot of famous people. I've worked alongside famous people. I've like seen what a famous person's life is really like, and it's not 100% for me. I don't think it's super busy, and I'm kind of a lazy guy. I mean, I'm not lazy in a lot of ways. I like to work out. I like to fucking do things, you know, projects and stuff like that. But I don't want to spend all day doing the kind of thing like, say the best case scenario, you're Amy Schumer, right? So what do you get for that? Tons of money. That's true. And that's pretty great. But she doesn't really have that much respect. She doesn't really have any privacy. She doesn't really have the ability to live a life or make a mistake. And you end up living in kind of a bubble. And a lot of the people that I've met who are famous behind the scenes, they're kind of stressed out, you know? It's a stressful lifestyle. It's a tough road to walk down. And I'm not saying by moving to New York or LA I'd automatically become famous, but it's a possibility. And if that's something I'm not that interested in, or at least not on my own, I'd want to do it on my own terms if something like that happened. Sorry. I just zoned out for a second on myself and realized how like ridiculous this whole statement is really right now. Sorry. I mean, it is gross that I did that, but this is the podcast. And it's also gross that I'm sort of talking about fame with you guys. But I don't know. It's something I spent a long time thinking about. I spent a year or so really making this decision. It was not a quick or easily made decision. I didn't know how it was going to end up. I love New York. I lived in New York for like 9 years. And I do love that place. And I consider it a home of mine. And all that. But it's just a very brutal fucking place, man. It's a very brutal place to live. It's a young man's town. You gotta be fucking on your toes. You gotta be willing to put up with a lot of bullshit and noise and people fucking with you and getting jumped. And I'm not saying that happens to every New Yorker, but over the course of the 9 years I was there, I had some pretty tough fucking times. And it's a very expensive city. And not to mention, it would kind of, for me, be like starting over if I moved back there. Yes, I have some great connections in the city. I got Kumia. I got some great friends down there who are comics, and I'm sure they'd help me out and show me around and stuff. But right now, I live up in Boston. My schedule is full. I'm always working. I have bookers that I've been working with for years. I have a circuitry of people that I've made relationships with and stuff. And I guess that might sound like to some like 19-year-old kid out there who's just starting comedy, that might sound like, oh yeah, man, but get the fuck out of there and get on your hustle and stuff like that. But I don't think you know what it's like, really. And when I was a kid, I just wanted to be a comedian, have great friends who were comedians, hang out with other comedians, think about jokes all day and fucking write jokes all day and do shows at night. That was like the dream. And I'm doing it. That's my life right now. And it's great. And I really like it. And I'm very happy the way things are right now. So is this to say I'll never, ever, ever move to New York? No. Is this to say I'll never, ever, ever leave Boston? No. I never say never on anything. But I do think it's like the end of a worry for me, because there was a long time where people were like, Will, you got to get out of here, man. Get to New York. Sometimes people I'd open for would say, you got to get to New York or LA. You got to get to, get on TV, blah, blah, blah. And I've done some TV and I've done some things, but I tell you, man, every step closer to famous I get, the more I miss the step I just left, in a weird way. And I think, I just think it's not what it used to be, man. When I was a little kid, being a famous comedian was just like, yeah, there was a lot of travel. That's never going to change. Another thing I'm not that big of a fan of anymore. But that's never going to change. Travel's part of the gig. But, you could be sort of semi-known, semi-unknown, and just live your life and go out there and do shows and have a good time. And now it's gotten to this point where if you're Kevin Hart or Amy Schumer or Louis C.K., top of the fucking heap, right? Your reward for being one of the best comedians is like 24-hour-a-day work. Tons of people depending on you for money and other work, and people everywhere you go, people asking you for favors and all that kind of stuff. And the longer I did comedy and the more I sort of like got more professional as a comedian, the more I was like, man, I don't know if I really ever want that. I think I really like being a local headliner, as crazy as that sounds to some people. But I like to equate it to like pro surfing or something like that. Like some surfers, they just want to like be in contests and sponsored and be surfing all over the world and have everyone chanting their name. And other people are just like, man, I found the perfect break here and I want to stay on it and I want to fucking keep surfing every day and get better on this wave that I like. And Massachusetts audiences and New England audiences to me are kind of the wave I like. I've been some other places and I've done some other things. And I have friends like who are constantly on the road chasing fame and chasing that next thing. And sometimes I feel like guys just do gigs like that so they can say they do. Like, look at me, I'm a comedian. I'm out in Omaha this weekend eating shit, like having a miserable time. Like, I'm a comic, you know? And it's kind of like, yeah, you are. Don't get me wrong, but if I can make the same money here in Boston and be much happier and, you know, have this pseudo life that I live, I think I'm sticking with that. So it was a real tough decision, though, because it's not like I fucking hate New York City. I really like it. If I found a place, if I hit the lotto, I'd buy a fucking place down there and I'd be down there all the time, but I haven't hit the lotto. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is depressing or if it's uplifting. But all I know is that I'm moving into this new place. I'm making it super nice and comfortable for myself. I was painting it all day today, just the color I wanted. And I'm putting down some more roots here in Boston. I feel like for the past even 7 or 8 years that I've been here, I've always had one foot in the city and one foot out. And it's time to, like, just admit what's going on and be here. Now, if I want to get even deeper into this fucking shit, I think there are reasons for me to stay that aren't personal reasons, that aren't like, oh man, like I like it here, my family's here, I love my family, which is another thing I didn't say earlier. It's another big part of it. And my dad almost died right in front of my eyes a couple years ago when he was having a heart attack, and that'll change you in a certain way where you're like, you know what, maybe I want to be around these guys a lot more while they're here, you know? And it's funny, a lot of people hate their parents, and I think I have at times in my life. Everyone goes through phases where you kind of hate your parents, but I don't anymore. I'm like way over that shit. Love my parents. They're great people. So that's another reason why. My sister's great. She's got great kids. My brother lives here. The whole family is in one city, which, you know, hasn't really happened. Me or my brother has almost always been away. So it's nice having everyone around. But these are all like personal reasons. But there are some other reasons, I think, why it makes no difference whether I go to New York, LA, or stay in Boston. And the main part of that reason is the internet, which is what I think the direction this whole business is kind of going in. You know, Twitch, I keep fucking pushing it on you guys, and I'm talking about it a lot, but I think this is like the area where entertainers are going to end up going eventually, because it's kind of like, why do you need Comedy Central to broadcast your comedy special when you can broadcast it yourself and get all the money, as you should? Or why wait for anyone to do anything for you when you do stuff yourself, you know? And I think when I see these guys who are Twitch streamers making millions of dollars, maybe not even millions, but you know, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in cities like Austin, Texas, and, you know, fucking like Steinbeck, California, wherever Steinbeck country is. They're in all these random places. They're not in hubs of, they're not in like these big hubs of show business, you know? They're out there in the fucking random places, but it doesn't really matter because everyone meets on the internet to watch things. And I've just noticed, you know, they say there's a stand-up comedy boom happening right now, and I think there is in a sense, but I think it's also at the same time going out of style a little bit. Like, I hate to really admit it. I started to think about it more when I was trying to get into colleges last year, doing the college like conferences and stuff, and seeing how like college kids didn't really give a shit about stand-up. Like, it's like they knew what it was, but it was like magic tricks or something. Like, they were like, yeah, that's kind of old-fashioned. Like, that was the vibe I was getting off these kids. And I'm like, man, that's kind of fucking weird that I'm like part of this. And then looking at the internet and watching stuff on the internet shows, internet comedies, internet vloggers, all that kind of stuff, especially live streaming, I'm like, man, this to me feels like where things are going. Now, don't get me fucking wrong. I love stand-up comedy. It is my passion. It is my most favorite thing in the world. And I am always going to do it. And it's always going to be my main focus. But I think just the way I've always done things in my life, which is kind of my own backwards-ass fucked up way, and that's how I'm going to keep doing things. And I think it doesn't really make a difference anymore, you know, whether you're in New York or LA. It's a global world. It's always been a global world, but it's like, you want me, come find me. If you don't want me, that's fine. I'll make my money doing shows, doing my podcast, twitching, all that kind of shit. So that's another part of the reason why I'm staying, you know, because I'm just like, I know a lot of people killing it in New York. I know a lot of people fucking suffering in New York. I know a lot of people who made vast compromises to stay in New York, and I know plenty of people who have failed miserably there. So anything could happen, you know, and I'm just not, I've been doing this shit since I was 18 years old. Not stand-up the whole time, but I've been an actor or a stand-up since I was 18 years old. And let me tell you guys, like, I've been broke for a lot of years. I've been living like a bum for a lot of years. Fucking, living like a bum. Fucking, living like real poor. Living in shitty places. Living like without being able to buy, you know, sneakers and dinner on the same day. Like, just always thinking about things and always kind of living below everybody else, you know, just so I could do what I want to do. And at the age I'm at now, I'm just kind of like, I just want to be happy, man. I don't give a fuck about fame. I don't give a fuck about the respect of, like, the New York guys. That was something that, like, kind of ate at me for a while, but I don't give a fuck anymore. I just want to do me. I just want to be happy. I love doing what I'm doing up here. I love the people that I work with. I think there's a great comedy scene in Boston. And I think it's getting better and better all the time. And I think if everyone who's ever really fucking funny just bounces, there's not going to be, you know, there's not going to be a Boston comedy scene left in 20 years or something like that. So yeah, man. And if I want to go even deeper, fucking deeper than that, the world is a fucked up place right now. You know, there's terrorist acts all the time. They happen so often. Mass shootings happen so often that it's like not even a big story the next day. And you know, Boston's at least I know the lay of the fucking land up here, but I also think it's kind of a safe place, safer than New York in that respect. And if Trump or whoever the fuck is gonna destroy this whole fucking country from the top down, I want to do it here in Boston and not in New York City, because I've lived there. I was there for 9/11, and I lived there for a lot of big events and bad things and good things, but New York's just a crazy fucking city. So I guess all this shit mixed together basically comes down to my original fucking statement, which was, I'm happy here. I want to stay here. Happiness is what I'm about right now. That's my focus, is being happy. And Boston really provides that for me, you know? I feel like a lot of the things people move to New York for, I have here, you know? Like, it's nice to hang out at the back of a comedy club with a bunch of comedians and talk shit and joke around. And that happens in New York too, but like the whole Comedy Cellar scene that people used to talk about, like it's gone. The era's over. It's a fucking tourist attraction now. So that'd be something I'd want, but it's like I know what it really is like, you know? You end up in a back room talking about fucking show business. It's a cock measuring contest, and people are talking shit about you the second you leave the fucking room, which probably happens here in Boston too a little bit, but it's not really the same. Most of us here are just kind of here to do the work and have a good time and stuff like that. I feel like this podcast sucks. Maybe I won't even put it out. I haven't said anything funny. Yeesh. Yeah, I think I am going to do that. I'm going to at least take a break. Alright, I'm back. I took a little break just to try. It's getting a little hairy out here. It's pouring fucking rain, and I'm in traffic, and I'm driving And I didn't want to crash after being so depressing. I don't know why. I mean, I feel like anytime I'm too serious on this thing, it comes off kind of depressing, but truth is, I'm very happy about this decision to stay here in Boston. It was kind of weighing on me for a long time. Like, what do I do? Do I go? Do I stay? I don't fucking know. Like, what do I do? And, New York is only 3.5 hours away from here. And I can go down there and do cool shows whenever I fucking want. So, I am not sweating that at all. And, nothing against New York or LA, but it's just not for me. I'm a Boston boy. I love Boston. I'm fucking staying here. And I'm going to do my best to make this a city where when people are doing podcasts, 30 years from now, they'll be like, Boston had its own second fucking wave of awesome comedy in the 2020s or some shit. And Will Noonan was a part of that. That's my fucking dream. But, yeah, man, I was saying it earlier. I love my life up here. I love the shows I do. Ryan Cott, John Tobin. I love those guys. I don't want to not see those guys as much as I see them now. The people I work with all the time, they're all good. So don't feel bad for me because I've decided to stay here. Feel good for me because it's a good move. And there's a lot more to come, and I think I can get a lot of work done in this new place, and I think I'll be putting out a lot of content for you guys. So that's the way the news goes, motherfuckers. And now let's talk about other shit, shall we? Let's talk about other shit. How about this girl in the news? Let's cheer it up a little bit and talk about this girl who gets people to commit suicide, huh? She was found guilty today. This teenage girl who sort of, if you don't know the story, you probably do. Guy and a girl, I think they were boyfriend, girlfriend, but not really. They lived far away from each other and texted and stuff. And this guy was in his car, and she'd been texting him you should kill yourself. You should totally fucking kill yourself. And he's going, yeah, you kind of want to. And she was sort of egging him on a lot. I mean, not just sort of egging him on, straight up egging this dude on. She made him. She didn't make him do anything. But she nudged him in the direction of committing suicide, as much as he could. He did it in his car, I think, with the old tailpipe or whatever. But, which is tragic and fucking terrible. And if you listen to, last week's episode, I think I said it's, one of the dumbest fucking things you can do. Just fucking kill yourself. It's so stupid. Nothing is that bad. Nothing in life is bad enough that you can't just fuck around for a year or move and get over it. Nothing. Trust me, I've been through some shit. Been through some shit in my life, and you get over it. Whoa! I don't know if you heard that, but I just got nailed by a fucking sheet of water. So I'm totally against that, and I think this girl is a total bitch, and I think she's a shitty fucking person, no doubt. But I also think, and this is a fucking unpopular opinion around here, because I think she's from around. I think this happened in Massachusetts. I'm not 100% sure. But it's sort of an unpopular opinion with the people I've been talking to about her guilt or innocence in a court of law. I think she's guilty of being a shitty person, and we all know that, but court of law wise, she just seems kind of innocent to me. It's hey, she didn't kill this guy. She talked him into doing something stupid and terrible, but she's not fucking a murderer, he's the one that did it to himself. And I think she's already been vilified in the media, and everyone knows her face, and I think she's 16, 17 years old. So it's we've already lost a young life in this story, which is sad and tragic. So now it's destroy another one. I don't know. It just seems wrong to me. And I think I'm definitely in the minority. I'm sure you guys are shaking your heads Will, come on, she deserves everything. But I just don't know. I feel a little bit bad for this chick, and that's sort of a habit I have. I always feel bad for defendants, even when they're guilty. It seems cruel to have the people up there, standing up there and getting embarrassed, getting sort of a finger wagged at them. Even when they're like murderers, I'm like, all right, they get it. They did something wrong. Like, fucking punish them and let them go home. Or, let them go to jail or whatever. Get on with it. I always feel a little... My brother's a lawyer, and he's told me many times that he would never want me on a jury because I'm just one of those people who feels bad for defendants. But, and in this girl's case, she's 16, 17 years old. She seems super fucking... I'm sure she's very sorry about the way this turned out. And I'm sure even she, just like this 16, 17-year-old boy, didn't understand the consequences of fucking committing suicide and how serious that really is and how, like, life really is over and you only get one and your fucking family is now miserable and they're in a courtroom and are on TV and crying and all this shit. I'm sure the kid didn't think about any of that stuff. I'm sure she didn't really either, This is a story about two 16-year-olds who weren't fucking thinking at all. And I think it's sad, like, all the way around, but I think it is kind of, like, it's kind of annoying me how people here in Boston are like, yeah, well, fuck her, she fucking deserves a chair. Fucking send her to jail for life. She got that kid to kill himself. It's like, yeah, well, he's the one that killed himself, and I think he had tried a few times without her help, and maybe it was going to happen, maybe it wasn't. She definitely is a bad person. I would not want her. I would not want to date her. I would not want her hanging out with my kids. If I had kids, I wouldn't want to like share a room with her or anything like that. But she, I don't think in a court of law, I'm surprised she was found guilty of like whatever she was found of manslaughter. I almost said Mr. Manslaughter. She was found guilty of Mr. Manslaughter, which is a cartoon character that only lasted 12 seconds before people were outraged. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up at willnoonanComedy@gmail.com or go to willnoonan.com and hit the contact button. And you can send me, like, your opinion on this. But it seems to me that everyone's against what I'm saying. I don't think I've run it. Actually, my dad and me kind of were talking about it, and we were both like, yeah, I mean, she's definitely a bad person, and she definitely stinks, but, like, is she really guilty of anything, like, other than saying, the wrong things? I think what the judge focused on, though, was that, like, not necessarily that she coerced this guy into fucking doing it. It's that she knew he was doing it and didn't call his mother or his family members, all of which they could prove she had their numbers and stuff like that. And that is fucking terrible. That is fucked up. But within the eyes of the law, I don't know if she did anything really wrong. I don't know. It's very confusing, man. And if you've been listening to the podcast lately, I've been Johnny fucking Johnny Rebel with the law. I'm like, let's fucking back up with the throwing people in jail for every little thing. Let's back up with fucking the police controlling everybody. So, that's old man Noonan time. But this chick, I just feel a little bit bad for. I feel like she's getting railroaded a little bit in the media, and that's affecting her whole trial and her outcome of her trial. So I think that's never good, man. I just want fair justice in this fucking world. That's all I want. But yeah, it was a fucking shitty week news-wise. That's another thing I'm looking forward to in this new apartment. I'm going to, like, really not read the news there. I'm going to live in my own little bubble again because I'm fucking sick of watching the news and nothing on the news but the blues, as Kanye West says, man. It's fucking depressing to watch the news. They like it that way. Speaking of depressing, I'm passing Kowloon, the shittiest Chinese place and comedy club in New England. You can bet your bottom dollar that even though I'm staying in Boston, I won't be working at that fucking place again. Ever. But yeah, man. But yeah. Oh yeah, the fucking senators and lawmakers and shit. They got shot at by some crazy motherfucker. That, of course, made people also crazy in their own right. People started going like, good, this is what they deserve for being such pricks. I'm like, all right. Let's dial that back a little bit. No one deserves that. I hate to admit, though, my initial thought when I saw that was like, especially if everyone lives. I think it's touch and go right now for this Scalia guy. Not Scalia, whatever the fuck. I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm not paying as much attention to the news as I say I do, but I'm driving through like a foot of water right now. I really am, by the way. Can you hear it? Just drove through a foot of water. So if everyone lives, I'll be like, when it was looking like everyone was gonna live and all this shit, I was like, hey, maybe it's good in a sense that this happened. You know, it's never good that someone gets shot, but I was like, maybe it's good. Maybe these congressmen and politicians who are like so far away from regular life, they don't. Excuse me, sip of coffee for the working man. They don't really live in the same level of fear normally as the regular person does nowadays with all this terrorism and all this bullshit going on in the world. They kind of, they're sort of above it, sort of protected from it. But yet they're the ones that are making the laws and making policy and kind of controlling the way the rest of us live. So part of me, and I'm not 100% proud of this, but part of me was like, good, in a sense. Maybe they'll get a little taste of the fear that a lot of people live with every single day, you know? And but another part of me was like, man, like, is anyone safe? You know, is anyone safe anymore? And I guess the answer is no, but I don't think you've ever been totally safe. And I think there are some people to be blamed. I do think there are some fingers to be pointed in this scenario. The president himself is definitely a little bit guilty of cutting America in half and forcing his half against the other half and talking about things like, hey, I don't know, maybe Second Amendment people can do something about Hillary. I don't know, I shouldn't say that, right? Like, hey, I don't know, you know, maybe like they're the devil. Maybe they should be locked up. And you're creating kind of like a bully culture or a rash culture. And but that's not, you know, to blame just Trump for that is a bunch of bullshit, because it's been going on since the George W. Bush years, even before Barack Obama. It was red versus blue, you know, Democrats, red Republicans versus blue Democrats. And people eventually stopped sort of thinking about the minutia of politics and started just looking at it that way. And they're like, well, I'm left, so I stick by everyone else on the left, and I'm right, so I stick by everyone else on the right. And it only took, you know, 10 years or so for that to turn into like almost a civil war of sorts. It's definitely a civil war happening every day on the internet. And it pits people against each other. And I think maybe when you create a culture of like division like that, you create an antagonistic culture of people who like dislike each other. Don't be surprised when someone comes to your fucking baseball practice and starts shooting at you, because in their mind they're a hero because they're taking down an enemy for their team. You know, they're taking down an enemy for their side, which I don't fucking agree with that. Obviously, you can't just shoot people because they don't fucking agree with you. It's stupid. But I do think there's some, you know, these guys and women have created such a culture that these things kind of exist. The media too, to be honest. Let's face it, right? Fucking media. They fucking salivate over things like this, and they love it. They love to fucking freak everybody out. I mean, it's a rough situation. I feel like this is the saddest goddamn podcast. Maybe it's the rainstorm I'm driving in. Maybe it's like the flash flooding and stuff. It's putting me in a sad mood. Or maybe it's all the paint fumes I huffed all day. But I don't know. I feel like I'm in a good mood. I'm looking forward to going to do this show. But I feel like the topics right now are just heavy. There's nothing to talk about in the world that's not just like heavy right now. Another reason why I'm staying in Boston. Nice and happy here. You know, and going back to that for a second, like a lot of people, I don't think value that enough anymore. You know, I've been chasing this dream for so long, and achieved some things. I'm done chasing. I'm done living for other people. I just want to live for myself, you know? And doing stand-up comedy here in Boston is that. Like, I don't know how to explain it to you guys. But I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about doing more stuff online, putting out more sort of films. I've filmed a couple short films in the past month or so that you guys are going to get to see. And that to me is more fun. You know, one thing I learned kind of doing a little bit of the road and opening for famous guys and being in commercials and some stuff like that, it's like you don't really know if that's the life for you until you get it. You know, you kind of can think, yeah, I want fame and I want money and I want adulation from people. But then you get a little bit of it and you're like, I mean, and I'm talking a real little bit here for me. And you're like, oh shit, feels good, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. And I just can't keep making discoveries like that. I don't want to be 40, 50 years old sitting in LA, you know, even if I am rich and famous, and going like, man, you know, I might have just been happier if I stayed in Boston, met a nice gal, settled down, and had my own internet show. And just occasionally flew out or drove out to go do some gigs. Like, and I think I'm at the point in my life where it's like I gotta go with my gut on these things and listen to my heart and what it tells me. And it's telling me to stay in Boston, and where weed is legal, and I've got a small following, and I'm loving life. And I don't know, man. A lot of people, sometimes you'll hear them talk about guys like Tony V or Steve Sweeney and Lenny Clark, and they're like, think about how famous they could have been. It's like, dude, these are guys who live in nice houses, have great lives. They're happy individuals. Maybe not all of them, but for the most part, happy. And like, I think there's something to that, especially right now in 2017, where you got fucking girls on trial for getting their boyfriends to kill themselves, and congressional fucking baseball games are getting shot up by people. The President of the United States is under investigation by the FBI. I think now is a good time to focus on your own personal happiness and not get caught up in the rat race of fucking living for other people. And there was a few guys in particular, and I'm not going to mention any of their names because I still love and respect them, but famous motherfucking comics that I was opening for, and I was like, man, this seemed like, just listening to their schedule and their lifestyle and the worries that they had, I could tell that it might not be for me, because I would never rest. I would never give up until I was on top, until I was like Kevin Hart. I'd never feel satisfied. My soul would never feel filled if I set upon that task to be like the biggest comic ever. I wouldn't feel satisfied until I was super fucking big, and I'm like, you know what? That's not like the race I want to join. I want to join the race of being fucking hilarious, making people happy, but also being happy myself. And it's just something I've thought a lot about. Got into Buddhism a couple years ago, meditation, you know, and some of my priorities kind of changed. And the things that are important to me now are different than what was important to me in the past. And I don't know, been through a lot, but overcome it all, and I feel like this is the way I want to go, motherfuckers. What's hilarious would be if, like, 2 weeks from now, like, someone calls me and they're like, hey man, we want you to move to New York and do a commercial for $75,000, and I'd be like, let's go. Speaking of the commercials, that's another thing, man. I was like, all right, so what's my reward for being a super famous comic? More acting work? I don't even know how much I like that. These fucking long days suck dick. Actors suck dick. Directors tend to suck dick. I just prefer this awesome world I live in of comedy shows, comedy clubs, 2-hour or less drives, you know, hanging out with fucking some of the funniest people in the world, like Dan Bollinger and Mike Whitman and fucking all the great comics, Corey Rodriguez, Orlando Baxter. Like, we have some of the best fucking comics in this city, and the shows are fantastic. We're like, you know, sold out fun fucking shows where everyone's killing. And I kind of used to think, man, no one knows what's going on up here. Like, no one knows how great Boston is. Damn it, you know? But now I'm like, keep it a secret. It's awesome what we have up here. I feel like we're still in the past in a lot of ways. And in some ways that can be annoying. But in one way it's good. Whereas people here just want to laugh. They just want to do comedy. They're not super politically correct. They're not fucking afraid to laugh at a funny joke. They don't give a fuck what color your skin is, or whether you're a guy or a girl, whether you're fucking filling out all the fucking requisite races for every show. It's just about, it's old school. It's an old school fucking comedy scene where, you know, it's fucking glasses full of scotch, cigarettes, fucking dim lighting, dirty mics, and I fucking really like it, you know? And if I die completely unknown, which I already think can't happen. I've done pretty well. I got a shitload of Twitter followers. I got a lot of fucking fans, and I get stopped on the street sometimes. What else more could I want? You know, money. Yes, I would like a lot more money, but I think I'm getting better at that too. Getting better at making it. Getting better at saving it. Getting better at taking the savings, turning it into more money. I'm figuring shit out, man. But let me tell you, this was not a decision I made lightly. I fucking struggled with it. I know people who listen to the podcast regularly definitely know that, because I was like weekly going back and forth. I mean, all the way to like looking for apartments in New York City, emailing people in New York about apartments in Jersey and stuff like that. Like, I went all the way there with it, but I don't know. It was a really tough decision. I was like definitely 50-50. Can think of a lot of great reasons to move to New York, but, you know, and like I said, I never say never. Maybe when I'm 40 or something, I'll decide I want to go down there, but as of right now, I love Boston. I love the scene, so I'm staying. All right, we got it. We get it. You like Boston. You don't want to be a miserable guy. I get it. It's funny, I'm driving to the beach to do this show, and it couldn't be a worse beach day. It's pouring fucking rain. Oh, I saw something. Here's a funny little story. Fucking little fucking something lighten this shit up a little bit. I was hiking the other day, taking a hike, and this has never happened to me. I've hiked for many, many fucking years. I love it. I mean, I'm talking 7-8 years I've been hiking on a regular basis. And for like the first few years of that, first 4 fucking years, I was hiking almost every single day. And love it. And I've seen a lot of interesting things while hiking. I've seen tons of wildlife. I've seen coyotes, tons of deer, bear once, all kinds of cool shit, you know. And I've seen some funny things and some interesting things, but this story I'm about to tell you, it's never happened. So when I'm taking the old hikeroos, I often listen to nothing on headphones, but sometimes I listen to a little bit of a podcast. But the way I like to do it is I take an old pair of iPhone headphones, the ones that come with the phone. Take an old pair of those, and I cut one of the earbuds like completely off from the middle, from where it like comes out. I just cut it off like it's never there. And now you just have a single earbud connected to, you know, your phone. So I take that, I listen to it in one ear, and I hike with one ear to nature and one ear listening to a podcast. And I do that when I'm running too. I do it when I do a lot of things. I feel like it's a happy medium between being present in the world and also having a little something interesting going on in one ear. So, true multitasker. I like to do it that way. So I was hiking it up. I'm listening to Bert Kreischer's podcast. I'm listening to Bert Kreischer and Dave Attell. And Bert Kreischer, Dave Attell, and Tom Segura. They're hanging out together and doing a great podcast. And I'm listening to it and I'm enjoying it, right? Then I see a fucking deer. I'm in the middle of the woods. I see a beautiful deer running. It's right near me, and then it runs off. So I turn off the podcast for a second. And I sort of just stand there and watch this deer. Deer are funny, man. When they see you, they're like, ah, fuck. And then they run like 30 feet. And they go like, you can't see me. I've totally escaped this guy. And you can just stand there and look at them for a while. And they'll look at you. One time, I did this with a deer, and we like stared into each other's eyes for a solid 3 minutes or so. And I remember I was trying not to blink. And me and this deer are just like maintaining eye contact for like 3 minutes. And you know how like your eyes play tricks on you when you like don't blink and you just stare at one thing? It was like a trip, man. I was like seeing like fucking, like it was like a 3D eye painting with this deer in the middle of it. So that didn't happen this time. I'm just staring at it for like 30 seconds and then it realized I could still see it and it trotted off, and it's always cool, right? So like as I'm about to put, I continue walking, and like as I'm about to put the earbud back in, I hear like this crack to 10 feet to my right, and I look, and this gigantic tree, like 3 or 4 stories minimum, huge tree, is falling over. Like it's cracking. It cracked at the bottom, and it's just falling, just like in a movie, like when a lumberjack cuts down a tree and they're like, timber, and it's just like cutting through, all the other trees, and branches are flying everywhere, and pieces of leaves are flying everywhere. I mean, believe me, I'm a safe distance from it. Maybe 20 yards, 10 yards. But it's like, holy shit, right? And it lands with like this huge thud on the ocean floor. Sorry. I got distracted because I'm driving through like torrential pouring rain, and there's a guy in front of me on a motorcycle, and I'm like, how the fuck did this guy get caught out in this shit? He must have been this isn't as much like, they didn't expect rain like this today, so this guy must have just been cruising along, and now he's stuck in it. But I feel bad for him. I don't think this is great weather for a motorcycle at fucking all. I mean, I can barely see, and I have windshield wipers. I don't know how this guy's seeing anything. Scary. Now driving right alongside him. Hope he doesn't fucking shoot me. He's wiping his off. I can see him wiping it. Jesus, he looks nervous. Feel bad for that guy. So this fucking tree hits the forest floor with a thud, and it's badass. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I just saw it. That's the old, parable. If a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Now, I know by me being there, it ruins the whole thing, because I was there to hear it. But it's as close as I'll ever get to just randomly seeing something like this. I've been in the woods hundreds of hours of my life, and I've never seen this happen. It was just like, it just cracked and boom. I mean, it wasn't even that windy. It was like a slight breeze. And I went up and looked at it after, and the bottom part of it was all eaten by termites or ants or something. And then the top, most of this, 80% of this tree was totally fucking healthy, but the bottom part had been eaten by bugs, weakening it. Becomes top heavy, and it, a little bit more every day. And all it took was like this slight breeze to completely take it down, and I just happened to be there at the exact moment to witness it. And I thought it was super fucking cool, and everyone I've told the story to thinks it's cool. I normally wouldn't tell just like a not so exciting story on the podcast, which I kind of thought this one was, but every person I tell the story to is like, oh, that's fucking cool that you got to see something like that. So I thought you guys might enjoy it. But yeah, I walked up and I kind of inspected the tree and inspected the wood, and it was interesting. I thought there was just going to be like a zillion bugs, like, oh my god, what just happened? But there was a few bugs, but they just looked like bugs being bugs, like, yep, this is how it goes. What was funny though was there was one ant sort of, it looked to me like he was sort of standing on top of like right where the break was, like kind of celebrating, like, I did this, this little ant felled this giant tree, motherfucker. I'm glad this human was here to see it. Nothing counts unless a human sees it. That's like the Pixar Didn't Happen of the animal world. Was there a human there to witness? They can speak. They can tell this tale on podcasts one day. What's a podcast? I've heard it's this thing where comedians make 99 cents a month. Yeah. But yeah, man, I thought that was pretty fucking goddamn cool. Seeing a tree just go down on its own in the middle of the woods like that. And I stood there for a couple seconds and kind of looked at it, and I don't know what, but I expected like people to come running, like other hikers or something. What was that noise? What happened? Oh my god! And of course, it did not. Now I will tell you, full honesty, I have been hiking and heard what I think was probably that happen in the distance. I have been hiking and heard huge branches fall off of trees on windy days, but I've never seen a whole tree go down, and I've definitely never like just seen it with my eyes, naked eye, from that close. So it was super fucking cool, man. It's probably some like country hiking type people who are like, well, I've seen that 50 times, Will. It's not that exciting. Get a fucking life, man. The Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship. I'm not super thrilled about that. I guess it's kind of good motivation as a Celtics fan to like really hope we get our shit together. I mean, we got our shit pretty well together. We made it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, which no one expected, but the Celtics finally get it to the point where they can compete with Golden State, which I think is going to be tough because even LeBron James and Kyrie Irving couldn't do it. But it gives us something, I guess. Like maybe we'll be the ones to bring down the mighty Golden State. But it's pretty shitty seeing that much talent on one team. It reminds me of like the Yankees. The Yankees in 2003, 2002 when they had like Jeter and A-Rod at the same time. It was like Jesus Christ, how many fucking superstar players do you need on this team? You know, and it has that same feeling where I'm like, it's tough to root for a team where almost this whole starting five is almost all-stars. And you know, like I have a feeling it's because of NBA 2K, the video game, because we all play it, and I'm sure the pros play it too. And then they're like, hey, you know what? I'm like, when I play those games, I am the GM of the Celtics, and I try and get as many good players as I can, all-stars, on the Celtics, and I'm not happy until my whole starting five is an all-star team. And then the fucking Golden State Warriors like did it in real life. They got Kevin motherfucking Durant to go there. I don't really blame him, I guess, but I do kind of. I just feel like it's kind of a bitch move, but he can do whatever fuck he wants and play with whoever he wants to. But man, that's like, they're unbeatable right now, and it can't be. Well, they lost one game of the finals, but I don't know. I should ask him. He'll be like, Will, you're happy in Boston. I'm happy in Golden State. Why don't you fucking worry about yourself? I'll worry about me. And I'd be like, that's right, KD. You the man, K-Dizzle. Boy. Oh, boy. Did a lot of Twitch streaming this week. And really enjoy it, man. I banged out 2 hours on there so fast. I had to go to a gig, and I was like, oh, man, I don't even want to leave. It was super fun. People were starting to subscribe and come hang out there. It's really cool. I was playing this weird-ass game called Emily is Away, too. And I'm actually looking forward to getting back and playing it again. But basically, the game is AOL Instant Messenger. And you're AOL Instant Messaging with people. At the level I'm at right now with women. And it's kind of like, who are you trying to impress? What are you trying to do? At the beginning of the game, it asks you, like, are you male or female? But it's a dating game, kind of. Because I have a feeling like murder or something crazy gets involved at a certain point. But if you go to my Twitch stream, which is twitch.tv/Will Noonan, you can see clips of, just the highlights of me playing this game. But also, like, if you really wanted to, you could sit there and watch the old streams, too, which are 2 hours or something long. But they're pretty interesting, but I would probably just watch the clips. But I got really into it, man, and when this girl broke up with me, When she dumped me, it hurt. It hurt, bro, because I'd invested so much into it. It's not your typical video game. It's like you're texting with these chicks, and you got to say the right things. But you say the wrong things, they get pissed off. And what was funny was, like, this chick was like, "It's over, man. It's fucking over. You're fucked." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "You lied to me." I'm like, "When?" She's like, when I asked you what kind of music you like." And I was like, that was like the very beginning of the game. So it's kind of cool that, like, you're getting every decision you make along the way really affects the rest of the game. And speaking of Twitch, I made it on the Twitch Fails, motherfucker. I've only been streaming a little while. Already made my first appearance on Twitch Fails, number 240. I was filling in before I painted this apartment I'm moving into. I had to fill in a bunch of holes in the walls and stuff like that. Hole in the wall? Hole in the wall. And I had to fill in a bunch of holes in the walls. And I was like, oh, I should fucking stream while I'm doing this. I'll show that I'm a little handy, and I'll make some jokes while I do it, and I'll tell people I'm trying to fill this hole, right? And I'm doing it, and at one point I'm like, maybe I should cut a little bit out of this out so I can, like, pull it out. And I got this razor blade thing. I'm cutting against the drywall, and the razor blade snaps, and it fucking just misses my face, and it goes right towards the camera. And I'm like, I'm really glad my eye didn't get shot out right there. It was a funny moment. I clipped it, and wouldn't you know, it made it on a Twitch Fails. So already fucking making some headway in this whole streaming thing. But if I have any money left over after renovating this apartment, which I think I will, probably going to buy a real nice PC and get some fucking real nice games and up the whole thing a little bit, up the whole deal. Start doing some live shit. What I really want to do is take it out of the house and into the comedy clubs and do a whole show, like do a show once a month or something that's on Twitch. I think that would be really good for everyone involved, and I think it's gonna be fucking cool, man. But I definitely think that's the direction this thing is headed. To go the old route of trying to make it in comedy seems kind of just like a fool's errand right now for me. You just gotta do you. Just gotta do you, dude. There's one more thing I wanted to talk about before I wrapped it up. It's on the tip of my brain. It's on the tip of my brain. Maybe it was just the Twitch Fails thing. I don't fucking know. What else happened to me this week? Anything? Not really. Well, I can't remember. Alright, that's it. Sorry, kind of a weird episode this week, you know. I don't know. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit more serious, I guess, than others. But, I don't fucking know. I'm happy. I'm happy to be staying here in Boston for the time being. Come see me at Capo and Southie every Monday. Come go to my website, willnoonan.com. I just updated some of the dates on there. See if I'm coming near you. And you can always hit me up at willnoonancomedy@gmail.com. Or go to my website, willnoonan.com/contact if you want to send me a letter anonymously. And other than that, guys, thank you for your support. Thank you for staying with the show. Thank you for everything you've done. And tell a friend. It always helps. And remember, if no one told you they love you today, I do. Peace out. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. Test. Testing.